Welcome to Get With Bass Fishing. Today we're going to be talking about how to cast farther, and specifically there's a lot of different ways to get a farther cast, but today we're going to be talking about the rod itself. How does the rod affect how far I cast? There we go. This was a good fish. There we go. All right, so I lost a fish on a Hot Tiger colored lure. It's the exact same weight and the exact same lure as this. So I switched up to a different color and I managed to hook into a freezing bass on a 5'5" medium light action spinning rod. That's pretty cool. Mwah. There we go, smooch and release. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go, we got another. This one's chunky, man. This one's feeding up like crazy. Let me just take a moment here. I know we're talking about rods, but let's take a moment here to talk about the importance of a trailer hook. Super cold out still. This guy was going nowhere. He annihilated that. I would not have had that fish if I didn't put that trailer hook on that spinnerbait. But the gut on this beaut, oh my gosh. This has got to be a solid fish. One of the most solid fish. Crush plates are red, so they're eating craws for some, I guess. There's nothing else in here that's red that gives off that. But we're gonna give her a smooch and release her. That's the second rod today. I was using the green one before. This is a 6'4", the other one was 5.5. So let's give this girl a good release. One more smooch. Mwah. Put her back in. There we go. So like I said, this is the 6'4" medium fast action skeet Reese rod, spinning rod that I use. It's got 20-pound braid on it, as opposed to, it's got 15-pound braid on it, and the other one has 20-pound braid on it. So we're gonna keep trying to fish with the spinnerbait and then switch up to the third rod, and then we'll talk about the differences and why I use these three different ones. So let's start talking about the different rods that I have here. Let's just start out with saying that I prefer using nothing smaller than a 6'10". This video is to show you the differences between a shorter rod and a larger rod. It doesn't really matter the size that you pick, it's just the concept between it. So like if you have a 6'10" and a 7'3", it's gonna be the same thing as this 5'5" and 6'4" that I have. The concept is the same. We'll get into it, but just remember the concept is the same. All right, so right here I've got a 5'5" medium fast action or medium light action spinning rod. I've got a size 20 Quantum TRX 20F. I've had this set up for a very long time. And I have 20-pound braid on here. Let's just talk about the reasons why I have this exact setup. So, besides it being a really short rod, it's basically something I grew up on. So I was shorter, and all that. That's the reason I have this rod, along with all my other shorter rods. The reason I have stronger braid on here or heavier line is because with a smaller rod, the tension doesn't go all the way into the rod itself. A lot of it comes into the line because there isn't a lot of of space for the tension of the fight to go. So it's only a 5 foot, 5.5 foot rod. So a lot of the pressure is going to be onto the line, which means the smaller the rod, here's the concept, the smaller the rod, the heavier line you'll have to use. Depending on whatever lure you're using, you're just going to need something a little bit heavier to maintain and not have a break. So let's switch on over to the 6'4". Let's put this bait away. Here we have the 6'4" medium fast action skeet Reese rod. See, with this, I'm throwing a heavier lure than I did with the 5'5". Like, I would never throw a big old spinnerbait on that rod, but I am with this one, strictly because there's more space within a rod to fight a heavier fish and set the hook better. So here we have a 1/4 ounce double willow blade spinnerbait. I got 2 hooks, the regular hook on it and then the trailer hook, and then I have a 15-pound braid on here as well. So it's a size 30 reel. So with this, it's gonna have a bigger space to actually fight the fish. So there's more space in the rod. Here we go. It's a 6'4". Can't really put it all in frame, but it's a 6'4" rod. So with that, there's more space when fighting the fish, that not as much tension is going to go onto the line itself. So I can use a lighter line. As we get bigger and bigger with rods, and the same thing, so another medium fast action, I'll be able to put lighter line on. So when we get into that, we'll talk about that. When it comes to your beefier rods, say like a medium heavy fast action, you don't want to go as light of a line as, let's say, 6 foot, like my, what is that, 6'10" medium fast action behind me, the one we're going to talk about just in a little bit. That's a medium fast action, and that has 6-pound fluoro on it. So if I had a 6'10" medium heavy fast action, I wouldn't put 6-pound fluoro on it because it is a heavier setup meant for a heavier bait. So if you were to set the hook on a big fish with a medium heavy using 6-pound fluoro, you might go ahead and snap the line. So it really all depends on the size and power of your rod as well. Alright, so like I was talking about, this is a 6'10" medium fast action Shimano. I have a small little 3.5 inch Keitech with an 1/8 ounce bullet weight and a bobber stopper, 6-pound fluoro. And the reason that I'm able to do that, like I can't remember if I said it before, but it's the space of the rod that takes more of the fight. So with the medium fast action, the bend is basically right at the tip a little bit, and then it's got a good old backbone. So a lot of the fight's gonna go into the rod and not as much into the line. So say I was using, like I said, the 5 foot and 6-pound fluoro, I would snap that line instantly because it would all be in the tension of the line. It doesn't take very much to snap a 6-pound fluoro. So the bigger the rod, or longer, and the correct power of the rod, you can use lighter line as opposed to a smaller rod with not as much backbone, with not as much tip action, not as much middle action, and then the backbone is pretty strong because they're so small. So that's why you see a lot of guys going out tuna fishing with those little 4 foot, 5 foot rods, or even grouper fishing, because you can make those rods compact and then just put on heavier line as opposed to using the big rods and lighter lines. So when you're looking for a specific setup for whatever you're dealing with, just remember, bigger the rod, lighter the power, lighter the line. Alright, so if you're using a bigger rod, heavier the power, you might want to step the line up, and then with all of this, you're going to be able to cast a whole lot farther with specific setups. So if I were to put 6'10" medium fast action rod right here, and I put 50-pound braid, I'm not going to cast as far as I will if I put 15-pound braid. So 50 and 15, that's going to be a big difference between my castability, and the same goes for all these other rods. Lighter line on a bigger rod, you're going to be able to cast a whole lot farther.